Okay, so this is a video tutorial on how to use InDesign to create project portfolio pages. So you're going to start with downloading the portfolio sample template from Canvas under portfolio project number 1. Once you do, that's going to give you a zipped file that you're going to need to actually extract. And so make sure that you don't just kind of double click on it, especially if you're on a PC. This won't actually extract the files. But make sure that you properly extract the files into a folder. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this folder. So I'll call it Zane Cochran Portfolio. And I'm going to come in here, and there are two sets of files. One is for the outside, which is the cover file. We won't be doing that right now. We'll get to that later in the semester. And the next is the inside. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to rename this Zane Cochran, no spaces or anything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and open up InDesign. And I'm going to open this file. So I'll click Open. Okay, and I'm going to navigate over to the folder that I just created. And we're going to open up this file. Okay. In this import process, you'll have to do this setup just one time, but once it's all set up, you should have no more issues. And so you may see this document contained 11 links to sources that are missing. We'll show you how to fix that real quickly. But what's nice about having a folder that's dedicated to your portfolio is that you're going to put all the resources that you'll need for your portfolio. So that's going to be all of your images that you're going to use in your portfolio. You want to put them inside this inside folder. And so here you can see that we've got our sample template opened up. And we can go ahead and close this menu down. And one of the first things that we want to do is we want to go ahead and look over here at pages. And here on the right-hand side, you can see that we've got 24 pages total. And so this is a kind of sample title page. You can change the colors and the text and the fonts, everything that you want here. On these next two pages, you're going to see that there is a personal statement here. We'll be writing those in class, as well as a headshot, which we'll be replacing with your headshot as well. But here on pages 4 and 5 is actually where we'll have our first project. And I'm going to show you how to come through and replace these images, or even kind of find different project layouts that you want to. So again, everything on here is completely editable, all the text, even the fonts, and I encourage you to kind of find your own fonts that you think really express the work that you want to do. But this introduction is more just to show you how to actually work with some of the tools. But the first thing that we want to take note of is down here, those errors that popped up, and we want to address those and fix those. And so the way that we can do that is we can click on links. And if for some reason you're not seeing these in Window, you can actually go and find the links layout, as well as pretty much every other menu that we're going to be using, just if yours is set up a little bit differently than mine. But what we're going to do is that this little question mark says, I can't find this image. Where could it be? And so if I double click on it, it's going to give me an opportunity to go show it where it is. And in this case, we'll go to the portfolio, inside, sample folder, and links. And I can see that that's the file right there. And if I click OK, it's actually going to go through and fix all of these links. You may also get an error about missing fonts. So I use the Roboto font for a lot of things. If you don't have that, that's okay. You can either install it or you can change it to a different font. And like I said, you're going to have an opportunity to do a lot of work with the look and style of your portfolio to make it suit your specific style. But let's go ahead and let's swap these pictures out again. So this is a portfolio page that was done by Cameron. And I'm kind of looking at this, and this isn't really the style that I want. I'm going to make a project page about Aurora. And I can see here that there's kind of one picture here, a really tall picture here, and then some text. And what I'd really like to do is I'd like to put 3 pictures on here. And so I'm going to kind of scroll down and find one that I think works. So this one's a pretty good spread. This one's kind of the same thing with the text on the side. I think I'm going to do this one. I really like this one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click and click Duplicate Spread. And that's going to throw those two pages here at the end. To select both of them, I'm going to click on this one and then hold Shift and click on that. And I'm going to drag them up in front of pages 4 and 5, so they become the new page in 4 and 5. And so now I've got a nice kind of blank page setup to work with. So I'm going to come over here, and I need to replace this image. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to hit a Control D if you're on a PC, or Command D if you're on a Mac. And so by doing that, it's going to give me an opportunity to go find an image. Now I don't have any images just yet, so I've not put them inside my folder. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find some that I had downloaded that are of my project that I want to feature. And I'll come into here, I'll go into Inside, into Sample Folder, into Links, and I'm going to paste those images. And one thing you'll notice is that for the most part, these are some pretty decently sized images, and that's important. I'm going to show you how to check the resolution of your images to make sure that they are big enough for printing. And so now I can come back over here, and I'm going to hit that Command D or Control D again, and now I can see that these are actually popping up. And so I'm going to choose this image, which I think is going to be my hero image. And so it's going to show my lamps that I'm doing for my project. But if I click on it, you can see that it'll highlight this window here, but it's kind of constraining and cropping my image to just the square. If I double click on it, you'll actually see it shows me the entire size of my image that I can do. It's actually quite a bit larger than this window. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this image to kind of give a little better view into my my lamps here. And what's really important is I'm going to hold Shift while I drag this, and that's going to make sure that I can't kind of accidentally stretch out my my image too much. So I'm going to kind of slightly oversize it here a little bit, and then kind of bring this down just a little bit, and you'll see that it actually is kind of not filling up the whole space there. And so still while holding Shift, I can kind of click and drag up, and I can get a nice kind of well-framed picture of my lamps here. Okay, over in this box, I'm going to go choose another image, and in this one, this is actually the original kind of source image, and you'll see that when I click on it, double click, this image is actually quite large. And so again, I'll hit Shift, and I'm really going to begin to kind of size it down. And again, you'll notice that I'm kind of using this little hand tool to kind of drag it in the window so I can see a little bit better. But I'm going to kind of shrink it down a lot until I get it kind of framed the way that I like. But again, you're kind of using this as a window to kind of show and crop your image just to the point where you like it. And so here's a nice picture of the aurora that the lamps were inspired by. We'll come over to this box, and again, I'm going to replace it with that Command D or Control D. And let's find another one of the lamps. Okay, so here's an underside picture of the lamp, and again, I'm just going to click and drag, and we're just resizing and holding that Shift key to make sure that we don't change the aspect ratio. And I'm just kind of making it so it kind of frames in here really nicely. And we'll come in and do our last one. So make sure I get my whole lamp in the picture and kind of center it up and frame it nicely. And so now you can see that I've got a great hero image. I've got some three pretty detailed shots showing kind of the history of the project. And now I just need to change out my text. And so if I kind of zoom in here, I can double click on this text, and I can call this Aurora. And you can see that I've just got some kind of some filler text in here. And so I'm going to pull from my Behance page where I've kind of created Aurora. And I've got a nice little explanation here of what I've got. And so I'm going to actually copy that, but I'm going to open up a new window and just kind of paste it here and cut it, just to make sure it doesn't bring across any of the formatting with it. And if I highlight this and put it in, we can see that that works quite nicely in terms of the overall space. And then back on Aurora, I also had some tags that I used with the project. So you can see kind of processing, Arduino, laser cutter, circuit design, Inkscape, Easy EDA. And again, I'm just going to kind of cut and paste those. And where I've got project tags. I can paste those in and do a little bit of formatting. Kind of make those go down a little bit. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to make this a little bit bolder. And so I can open up both the paragraph and the characters tabs. So I can see that's Roboto Slab Light. I'm going to change that over to maybe medium, maybe even bold. There we go. And I'm going to change this over here, and I'm going to say skills and tools. And again, I'm going to kind of change that up to be bold. Okay. So, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm actually going to bring that maybe down one more line just so it kind of lines up nicely with this bottom edge here. And that is my first project page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to export this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Save. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and replace this, which should be fine. And in order to submit this on Canvas, I'm actually going to go to File, Adobe PDF Presets, High Quality Print, and we're going to save it as that, and that's fine. Okay, and we will export, and that's going to save a PDF of this document to my computer. It will say export. And if you see that there's these ICC profiles, that's actually nothing. That's just a warning, but we can ignore that. If you see any errors, that like you have missing links or things like that, those do need to get fixed before you export them. So we can click OK, and that should be OK. But while it's doing that, we want to go ahead and make sure that the images that I chose are of decent resolution. And so if I click on a link here, and I click on links, it's going to pop up this little data window, and the resolution that I'm looking for is located here in effective PPI, and you'll see here that it says 508, and that's really good. If you see like a number by a number over here, it means that you've kind of stretched out your picture, and so you may need to go fix it or place it again so that it's not so stretched out. But 508 is really good. Ideally, your pictures will be more than 300, or 300 or more rather. Anything above 200 for effective PPI is acceptable, but is starting to get a little bit grainy. So let's go ahead through and check this one. So again, I see effective PPI is 509. That's good. Effective PPI here, 349. And the big ones are always the ones that are tricky because they're pretty large. But this one actually is pretty good. So 421 is an excellent resolution. So this does mean that everything is ready to go. So again, we're going to save that up. We're going to go and find our PDF, and we can see here we've got that Zane Cochran PDF, and if we open that up, it will have kind of all these other kind of random sample projects in it, and that's okay. Those are going to get replaced over time, so don't worry about deleting those out or anything like that. But I can see that I've got my 2 pages there looking really good, and that's what you want. And as you continue to develop out your portfolio, you'll just come through and just start either replacing, example projects or, duplicating spreads from these sample layouts. Or again, if you feel like you've got some good design skills and you want to stray from this template, you're more than welcome to. But check out all the templates, and there's a lot of different ways to customize your pages based on these. So there are lots of good opportunities to showcase your work. And that's it.